Hey, welcome and thanks for tuning in and listening on your favorite podcast app. It's Carm Capriato, the Aftermarket Podcast Guy. Family businesses can survive the generations, and needless to say, you've got to do an awful lot of things right. It's the culture, discipline, and the brand that gives the necessary template for a successful transition. Today, we welcome Randy Pickering, legacy owner of Pickering's in Lakewood, Colorado. Now, Pickering's is an amazing company that is transitioning into the fourth generation, Randy's two sons, and that's a rare thing. Now, to help gain their independence, Randy says his sons both wanted to join a 20 group on their own, and they opened their second store to scale up for a solid exit plan. Randy shares his newfound life after leading Pickering's in Lakewood, Colorado. Two great partners bring you this new episode today, Apex and Shopware. Hey, did you know that the virtual Apex experience, November 3rd through the 5th, is FREE, free, and that it includes technical and management training for shop owners, technicians, and service advisors, and also product and equipment demos and one-on-one meetings with suppliers. Now, I've interviewed many of the trainers that are part of Virtual Apex. Don't miss it. Make a smart move. Register right now, aapexshow.com/register. Hey, how's your shop management system doing for you? Well, at Shopware, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Shopware's shop management system allows customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. Keep your staff and your customers safe while maintaining profits and keeping your customers happy. Learn more at getshopware.com/carm. Hey, I'm so happy to get Randy Pickering in the virtual studio, and he shares some great wisdom like only he can.
Because if we don't have the gross profit and percentages and dollars to make that happen, then we're not going to succeed. And then the other piece is just to work hard on creating the customer service experience that that allows those customers to want to come back and see us and be part of our business.
Hey, more with Randy Pickering in 1 minute. Hey, did you see the live shop tour this week? Are you watching the new show, aftermarketweekly.com? Well, it's live every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. Now, every episode's archived at aftermarketweekly.com, where you can see every shop tour we've done, and you can also watch it live right there. It's a fast-paced magazine-style show with a lot of information like you've come accustomed to from Remarkable Results Radio. Hey, thanks for completing my simple and easy survey. If you've not done the survey yet, go to remarkableresults.biz/survey. Very short, and I welcome your input. Now, help me know what you want and need from the Aftermarket's premier podcast, and thanks. Hey, we're always looking for relevant, intriguing, and interesting stories. Reach out to me at carm@remarkableresults.biz. Maybe it's your turn to share your story. Hey, you've come to know that the podcast is a constant for education, ideas, and insights, where you come right here to learn just one thing. Enjoy. Hey, a warm welcome to Randy Pickering from Pickering's Auto Service in Arvada and Lakewood, Colorado. Hello, Randy.
Hey, Carm, good to be with you.
You know, you've been a get of mine. You know, interviewers, they always have this short list. Who would you like to get to come on your show? And you have been one of them because you've been so damn out there and successful. You know, love seeing pictures of your beautiful business and the success that you've had. And I think you were third generation?
That's correct.
Your family now is the fourth?
My sons are taking the business over in their fourth generation. So yes, correct.
Unbelievable.
It is surprising when you know the numbers of succeeding from 1 gen to 2 gen. It's and how it goes to where we're at. I'm very surprised and thankful and lucky.
Thankful because you made a lot of right decisions. Lucky because you made a lot of right decisions.
And I had a lot of good people in my life to help me through those things too.
Absolutely. And, you know, I guess if this episode is anything, it will talk about some of the wisdom that you've learned over the years. I'm sure you made a few mistakes.
Oh, yeah. I hope this isn't a show on that, because we probably don't have enough time for that show.
Especially if you and I both combined all of our mistakes together, it would be a 4-hour, and we would bore the hell out of we wouldn't bore the hell out of the listener, because the listener would say, been there, done that, been there, done that.
Haven't done that yet, but now I'm warned.
So I'm thrilled to talk about the fact that, life after retiring from the business and truly getting out. I mean, Randy, in order to make this thing work for the kids, and I don't mean to say kids in a negative way, but for the family, you had to get out.
I had to figure out another source of income for Randy Pickering. The weight of all that onto the company, my exit, they're trying to grow the business. I had to figure out another way to have some income as part of that. So a friend of mine, many of you guys know, Doug Stoll, gave me a call and said, hey, we're looking for another coach at Elite Worldwide, which is Bob Cooper. And I said, gosh, I'd like to have that conversation and see what that's like.
There are so many shop owners that are looking at that as not only they still own their business and they're doing some part-time coaching, but in your particular case, you looked at this as, I don't even want to think of the word continuing revenue or income. The fact that matter that all the years you've had in business, I imagine that Bob was happy that you said, hey, love to have you, Randy.
Yeah, he was very gracious to have a conversation with me. I'd known Bob for many years and known of him certainly even more than that. And it was just a really good fit. It was give me the opportunity to transition a little bit more out of my business, helping other people in their business, trying to determine what their goals are, meet their needs and those kinds of things. We can talk a little more about that. But it was a nice way for me to be able to step back. Let me kind of preface this because this is an interesting little bit of a way it unfolded. So I started working with Bob 5 years ago in 2015 and started working with some clients, and I was still working in my business. And that was a nice little transition. My sons at the time and my daughter was with us at that point as well. We're doing most of the day-to-day activities, and this gave me the time to be able to work in that. So I was doing both simultaneously. And then in December of 2017, I had a pulmonary embolism in my lungs, and it took me out of business for a while, and I healed pretty readily. But every time I'd call back to the boys, I'd say, how things going? Do you need any help? They said, Dad, we got this. We're fine. Just heal yourself. So I'd call back the second month, and they said the same thing. And the third month, they said, Dad, really, we've got this. If come in when you're ready to, just heal yourself. But we would like to make some changes. We'd like to take your office over for one of my sons. My other son already had an office in the business, and have him take that area over. And I said, you know what? This is probably as good a time as any for me to step out. And this had been 3 months I'd been out of the business. For me to step out, before I got there, they had it all boxed up and ready to go for me. So that was the way we transitioned. It was fortunate and unfortunate for the pulmonary embolism, but it gave me the opportunity to think there's more to life than just working in my business. It's been 45 years and I had a great run, good business. And I think it was just a time for me to turn it over. My boys have been working in the business anywhere from the time 10 to 12 years. They knew the system. They had watched us. We developed many of those things together. They had also been in a 20 group as well by themselves. So I wanted them to get experience by other people, not just being through me. So that's how we transitioned.
And to me, you said so many smart and right things there, but how did you feel when they picked up the phone and says, Dad, we need your office? How'd you feel?
I had been doing a lot more golf and a lot more pickleball, and I'd been playing at that time probably 4 and 5 days a week playing pickleball. And it's like, you know what? I'm enjoying myself. I'm okay with it. I always thought I just turned 65 this year. So I had always thought that I'd probably work until 70 or 72 and then relinquish the reins. Honestly, I felt really great with it. I'm glad I've had great customers. I've got great relationships with my clients and as well as my employees. We're a team in that respect. So if anything, I felt like I was letting my team down a little bit. But the same token, I think they all were the same, saying, you know what, you've earned this over your lifetime, and it's time for you to enjoy what things that you want to do with you and your wife. And we've done so.
I imagine there are a bunch of 65-year-olds that are listening to this that are very, very jealous.
It's a great time of life if you can enjoy it. And sure, I love my business, and I loved interaction with my vendors and my customers, and I enjoyed that whole piece. Honestly, though, for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, maybe I haven't been on the front counter. I would walk into those situations and have nice conversations, and then I'd be able to exit out. But I wasn't in the day-to-day working with selling the tickets and closing out at the end of the day and things like that. I wasn't taking in incoming phone calls. So I had already kind of transitioned away from front counter. And so it became easier for me. It really did.
Did you decide to put your two sons in their separate group, or did they say, Dad, we're going to join a 20 group, but we're not going to be part of yours? Was that a decision on your part or their part? Because to me, it's very, very smart.
It was on their part. So we had been involved with ATI together with them for a period of time, and they did some learning through that time, and then we'd stepped away, and this was an opportunity that came in the Colorado area that stepped up, and also through our Napa Auto Care Business Development Group, there is a good group of people that shared information. So they already had a good feel of what this 20 group or a mastermind or whatever you want to call those groups might look like. And so they invited me, and I said, I'm going to stay out of it. This is your group. I want you guys to get information from a different source. You know how we've done things. Every time they would go to some training, they say, Dad, they'd be talking about this and this and this. And they said, we're already doing this, this, and this. So they said, you have really done many of those things. And I said, the types of things you're going to find now are the small nuggets along the way. It's not the big operational changes.
There's so much opportunity in our industry for coaching, for mentoring, for 20 groups, for learning. If everyone who owned a business today decided to hire themselves a coach or become involved in a 20 group, we would run out of opportunities, meaning there are so many people that need it. Now, when you go back and you think of, you got your AMI, your AM, you were with RLO for a while, ATI, the Napa BDG groups. Would you discount any of them for any time? I guess, what's the message to the people that don't have this?
I think there's a couple of messages. One is that I wouldn't discount anything. All information is good. You sort through it. Some things stick, some things you like better than other things. So it's just preferences in that regard. If I would look back in my career, I started in 76. So when I started the coaching, it was probably in the late 80s, somewhere in that area. If I would have done something different, I would have liked to have gotten involved into it sooner. I gotten involved with the Automotive Service Association. I became a member. I believe that was in the early 80s, somewhere along those lines. We did shop visits through our ASA on a monthly basis. So you go into a shop, and I'd go out of there with a yellow notepad full of ideas, and I would incorporate those into my business. And the nice thing is, these people were willing to take and have sharing. I have 3 guys that were solid mentors to me, and I really appreciated them, their willingness to help and answer questions and allow me to be involved in the association, first off, and secondly, in all these types of things. Well, I sat on the board for a number of years. I became president in Colorado here for a couple of years, and then went on to the national board. So through all those pieces, you just gain great relationship and opportunities.
Hey, Carm here, and coming up, Randy, well, he tells you all about his favorite new sport, pickleball. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Shopware's shop management system allows customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. Now, 1, your customer views their outstanding balance. Number 2, they are prompted to submit payment directly through their invoice. And 3, Shopware's secure portal facilitates payments right there without having to open another browser or remember another password. It's really that simple. Shopware is your complete solution for contactless service. Let remote pay work for you and improve your customer experience. Get started today. Visit getshopware.com for more information and to request a demo. Hey, Carm here. Now, the virtual Apex experience is offering free technical and management training for shop owners, technicians, and service advisors. It's all happening November 3rd through the 5th, 2020. Now, this training, which is valued in hundreds of dollars, will be led by the industry's most highly skilled and sought-after trainers, including Jim Wilson, Tony Salas, Eric Ziegler, John Thornton, Cecil Bullard, Jeremy O'Neill, and Bill Haas, just to name a few, and I've interviewed a bunch of them. Classes are for all levels, and many are accredited toward the Automotive Aftermarket Professional, AAP, and Master Automotive Aftermarket Professional, MAAP designations. On the technical side, topics will include advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS diagnostics and calibration, European diagnostics, lab scope usage, and controller area networks. On the management side, you'll learn about attracting talent, creating a business culture, effective leadership, communication skills, business continuity and valuation, and social media from concept to engagement. The Virtual Apex experience is free. Did I say Free? But you've got to register. To get started, go to aapexshow.com/register. You were a trendsetter back in the 80s, there's no doubt. And I would have to think that your business, even to today, benefited from making a lot more smarter decisions. You know, you made decisions, but they were based on knowledge that you received, you know, from even people a little wiser and smarter than you.
Absolutely.
And did that drive your decision in 2010 to open a second store?
Yeah, I think I always had a goal of opening a second or maybe a third location. And especially knowing that one facility was not going to probably fund my family to be into it as well as myself to have an exit plan. So I felt like I needed to have some sort of an expansion. So we went ahead and bought a second location. And that really has proved out to be just a real good situation. I mean, the first few years were difficult, no doubt. It was the learning experience of all of us that have had second businesses. And the kids have talked about a third business, and that may be in their future and may not. It's hard to say.
My thinking was when does Dad pick up the phone and say to the boys, so when's the third? And they have already kind of talked about that.
We've had conversations about it. There's positive things and there's drawbacks. It depends on how much time you're willing to also put into your business to make those things grow. And that's a decision that they have to make on their own. How much are we willing to take and invest time-wise to make, to grow? And is that the right situation for them or not?
Oh, yeah, lots of decisions. Now, you were lucky enough, again, I put in air quotes the word lucky enough to have an internal candidate to succeed the business. Think about the boys now. Do they have any children coming up?
Yes. One of my sons has a boy and a girl, 7 and 5. So we're enjoying grandparenting right now. So we're enjoying that time of our lives.
So I guess my point is that they're awfully young. But if you were sitting down with a client right now from a coaching perspective and think about how many are in a very prime age group, not only to have already done a deal or prepare a deal, but, maybe 55 and they see some, 5 to a 10-year gap opportunity out there. Would you be telling people to look for an internal candidate?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best ways to make a transfer of your business is looking for that. And if none seems to present themselves, you start to look at even your hiring. When you're bringing people on in, does this make sense? Is this person a candidate for that as well? Certainly, the other option would be is to sell that out onto the block and go in that direction. But I think if you find people that learn and understand and maybe grow and take on the same types of characteristics that you've done and run your business through, the transition is a lot easier.
One of the things, Randy, that you're the most proud of when you look at your tenure in the business?
I've got great customers, I've got great employees, and it's just making a business out of that. So I think it's just the opportunity to be there. I'm not a technician, never have been, so I don't come at it in that direction. The other piece was we were fortunate enough to take and purchase our own property and build our business. And this will be exciting for us because at the end of this year, I think November is our last payment for our property.
Are we going to have a mortgage burning event?
Absolutely.
I was telling that to people, mortgage burning, and they says, what do you mean by that? And I said, oh my God, my parents, when they took their 30-year mortgage way back, in the 50s, maybe in the late 40s, we're going way back now. They would always, when you paid off your house, you only owned one house. You paid off it in 30 years, right? And then you got together with friends and you actually burned the paper.
that could very well happen in a little private setting with my family.
Yeah, do me a favor. Send me a picture of that. I'd love to see it. So the joy that you're getting from as a coach now in your second wind in this industry, no names, nothing confidential, but what are you seeing that your clients are doing to make themselves more successful?
It all drills down on customer service. It's treating that customer, giving them an experience for them to be able to want to come back and see you. So I think that's the biggest piece. It's surprising. I've got out of several of my clients, I have several that are in the throes, one area or another, of bringing it into the next generation of owners. I've got a family in California, and the father's been in the business for many, many years. They've got a real successful business, and they've got 3 kids, and each one of them take a lane in their business, meaning a certain set of position and responsibilities and that sort of thing. And we're training and working through them. I have one in the Maryland area, the same thing. It's a father who's been there for many, many years. And honestly, before we started talking, they really hadn't put any effort, no time, and no energy and putting things together to see this transition. And, just like when I had that pulmonary embolism 3 years ago, and I'll say one other thing, my brother of 68 years, he just passed away from cancer. So you just don't know, and you're better off to get things, tidied up and as situated as you can before you get to those times of your life. So for me, it's trying to work with people in especially in those cases of how do we take and work on succession planning. Otherwise, there's, again, soup to nuts.
I totally love what you said. You said lane, and I wrote down the word role, R-O-L-E, role, okay? They mean the same thing to me. I have found over the years when the roles in a family business where there's multiple people, right? If they're not defined, it creates friction. It creates overlap, and there isn't any one person that's in charge of making the final decision. Then you have chaos.
You're right. We kind of went through that even with our 3 kids when they were all 3 in the business, and we had a consulting company come in and help us work through that process to try to figure out how do we take and see these as roles, and what do those roles look like, and what are they, how are they defined, and what are the responsibilities of those, and who makes those decisions in those. I've been fortunate that I've not been one of the type of people that take and say, this is all mine, I'm not going to turn it loose. I've really been able to take and delegate, and they've been able to run with it. Do I think everything is run the way I wanted to? Maybe, maybe not. But 40 years ago, I ran it by the seat of my pants, and I had to, you learned along the way, and I want my kids to learn along the way. They're going to make right decisions. They're going to make different decisions, or maybe some decisions they wouldn't have rather made, but they have to learn through those, and I'm okay with that, and I think they are too.
Great wisdom. I don't know if you heard this to my listener, but Randy just said that he had to learn to let go, and they had to learn to make their own mistakes without you. That's just got to be one of the toughest things in a transition that the owner, the dad, the wife, whoever owns the business has to make. And did you have a few sleepless nights over the fact that, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this, and I should be there. Maybe I should go to the bank. Maybe I should talk to customers. Was that a struggle?
I'm going to say not a real struggle. I was okay with it. I felt like this is a living and breathing business that, I've woken up every morning and put to bed every night for these many years. So it's another, appendage of my body in essence. So when I was ready to make this step away, it's like, you know what, they'll figure it out. I figured it out. They'll figure it out. So I've got a lot of respect and appreciation. And I got to be honest with you, they don't come to me with very many questions.
Yeah. You mentioned that. Now, did your wife help you through that?
Yeah, absolutely. She did. She is my business partner. And so she let go as well, but she wasn't involved in the business, but she was very good at coaching and saying, you know what, we have to just trust. We're a faith-based family. So we trust that God's going to help us through those situations as we move along as well. So
pickleball.
Yes.
I will truly be honest with you, until I looked it up today on the internet to see what it was. I had not known about it.
It's surprising how many people have not heard about it. And so when a person asks, I always say it's a cross between tennis and ping pong. It's on a similar court as tennis, and you use a paddle and a wiffle ball about the size of a baseball. It's very active, or can be pretty active. It's great exercise. It's really good for meeting and other people, specifically in our age group, because a lot of people of our age are playing it. If you talk about that in Phoenix or Arizona or Florida or California, there's a lot of people know of pickleball.
It actually looks like a sport I could play, really, honest to God, because I've tried tennis in the past, and anyway, that would have to be 25 years ago, and I probably haven't picked up a tennis racket in that long. But when I looked at the pickleball and I saw the height of the net, the tinier court, the wiffle ball, the paddles, and the activity. I mean, you're closer, you're tighter together on the court. So that means there's a lot more you can get and reach in just one single. You don't have to wait for the ball to bounce. You could just bam it in the air because you're tight. I just loved it. I thought it was great. How often do you play?
So it depends on the season for me, because right now I'm playing a lot of golf. I'm playing golf maybe anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week right now. I'm playing golf. Yes. Right now I'm playing pickleball probably twice a week. I'll pick up an hour and a half or 2 hours of playing, something like that, and I'm ready to go. So now in winter time, that'll drive us inside, and I'll probably be playing 5 and 6 days a week playing pickleball. So
good for you. You're a legacy guy in the industry. I know you're paying attention to it because you have to, because you're coaching. What are you telling your clients to pay attention to? Are they paying attention to their culture, to their margins, to their marketing, to their social media? What are you telling them?
Two things that I really have them to pay attention to, and it's kind of working hard and setting and attaining your gross profit percentages, because we need to get that proper so that the machine can work. I look at a business as a meat grinder in some ways. If you ever saw your grandparents were doing a meat grinding on the counter, they'll put that piece on up, they'll put everything in at the top and grind the machine, and then of course it comes out what they're looking for and the consistency. I see a business very similar in that regard. We set the machine the way we want it to. We funnel in what we're looking, which would be our customers coming into it, and it comes out what we're trying to get out of the bottom of that. So because if we don't have the gross profit and percentages and dollars to make that happen, then we're not going to succeed. And then the other piece is just to work hard on creating the customer service experience that allows those customers to want to come back and see us and be part of our business.
It seems like, if you were my coach and you said, Carm, it's about my people and it's about my customers, I would think that you would be a legacy business culture guy. Because you need both of those to make it happen. I mean, love comes from outside in. Your customers recognize how well the team works together, but it still comes from the leader.
Yep. So you're developing processes, procedures, because if you don't have those along the way, and then our people that we have in our businesses are key, and we have to find out early enough in those, are they long-term or are they not going to be long-term with us? And hopefully it's kind of like football teams. We're wanting to trade up to the right people all along the way. And then we're building our business and utilizing the people to make that happen.
Again, let's go back to your experience as a coach. How many customers need to work on their processes and systems?
We start right off the bat. That's probably one of my strengths. And I know the value of that. Whether they have one shop or they have 10 shops, it doesn't really matter. We want to take and start the process, because we don't know who we're going to have replaced at any given time. So that information to be able to pass on to the next person that's going to be in that role, it's important for them to have that. It seems ridiculous at times, but it might be as from what do we do when we open the door and when you turn the key in the door lock in the morning, from that point till the first time the customer walks in that morning. So how do we open up and how do we close the business, and all the different types of procedures we do, if we can have those identified. And many people have gotten very creative how they're doing there. They're taking pictures and cutting or snipping sections out of maybe their shop management program and putting them into a SOP and those types of things. So they're getting real creative and they look good and there's a consistency to it. So it's driving what you're wanting to see happen. So when we were at the R.L. O'Connor many, many years ago, they were really good about helping us develop those, as well as developing our handbook and things like that. And those are just foundational pieces now in a business.
Ever think you'd live through a pandemic like this?
No. If you'd asked, I wouldn't have even asked what or been able to spell pandemic.
I know.
But no, this is a really surprise.
How did the boys get through it okay?
Yeah. I will be first to say that thank God that we had the PPP loan. I mean, that allowed a lot of options and opportunities for us as a business. So it helped us to sustain during that time. It kept all of our employees. And so they have taken advantage. They've taken and worked through how they're dealing with the customers and what do we need to do to make sure our staff is safe and our customers are safe and those kind of things. And nice thing in our industry, there's a lot of good information, and it was disseminated really well by many people. And you could listen to different Zoom or podcasts or whatever it might have been, and you could pick up good information. So it was very helpful.
Very good. Looking back lessons, sometimes we get into a mode, I woulda, coulda, shoulda mode. And what would you tell yourself 20 years ago that you know now?
So I put myself pretty deep into our business. We opened at 7 a.m., so I was there between 6:30 and a quarter to 7. We closed at 5:30.
So you're working 11 and a half hour days.
Yes, leaving at 7 or something like that. And those early days, especially with our 3 kids, was difficult. Those were challenging times. My wife was taking care of the kids all the time, and I'd get home, I'd do some book work on the table until I was ready to go to bed. So those were challenging times. And I think that by having maybe a coach along the way, and some of those would have been helpful for me. They could have maybe shed some light a little earlier in my career to help me in that. So I think that's one of the things that I would have said is enjoy your family.
Enjoy your family and hire a coach. That advice continues to ring true, the work-life harmony that needs to exist, and how many people regret. They're thankful that the spouse allowed them to put in all the hours, Randy, and it got them where they are today, as long as the business kept growing. Because if you work 12-hour days and were losing money and you couldn't pay your bills, that's a mistake. I mean, that's a lose-lose. But if sooner or later you said to yourself, and listen, I know people in my audience are some of the best in the industry, but more and more we're attracting shop owners and technicians who want to buy their business, and shop owners who are struggling, and that they need to come to the well for this kind of wisdom like that you're providing right now. And this is a recurring theme. I can't find anybody I've ever interviewed, who's in a position that you are, that doesn't say, spend more time with the family and hire a coach. I can't afford a coach. You can't afford not to hire a coach.
How true it is. It really is.
Wow, it just continues to ring true. Randy, as I said earlier in the episode, I really wanted to have you on because I know you're a legacy guy out there in Colorado and all the associations and all the hard work that you've given to the industry. And it's just great to hear of a quality transition in the family and life after the grind. So thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Carm. I really appreciate that. I don't miss the grind, and I'm enjoying the transitioning right now.
And play more pickleball. Randy Pickering, Pickering's Auto Service, Arvada in Lakewood, Colorado. Legacy guy in the industry. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, Carm.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.